ladies, hello gentlemen. So I've decided that I will make a video explaining how I do my readings, how I do my cards, what is tarot in general, and how, like in general, just me answering the questions you've been asking me a lot of times. And I like questions. I love questions. I love being asked stuff, and I like being kind of like interviewed. Love it. But when it gets, asked repetitively by different people, it's not that it's annoying, but it gets on my nerves a lot because I'm pretty much just saying everything all over again. Sucks. So I decided to make this video so in case somebody asks me, I can just pull the link, send it to them. And you can use this video to, send to other people too, because I'm just gonna go over the basics, not to, dig into what the card mean and stuff, but just to show how the work works. And, I don't think you could use it as more of educational video or tutorial, more of just share of experience, to see what others do, because that's how I was learning to make sure that I don't do anything wrong, because I take this stuff super seriously. It's super sacred to me, and I don't see how others can not do the same thing, but you can practice any way you like. Sure, okay, we'll just go with that. So yeah, enjoy the video. If you have any more questions, there's comments, there's you can just text me personally if I'm sending this to you. But yeah, let's go. Okay, so for my work I use my desk, which is cleaned usually before I do my cards. My hands also have to be cleaned. Your cards should be treated with respect, like a person, more of, I guess, like a god, not like, you just disrespectfully ate your chips and now you're going at your cards. Don't do that. That's just nasty, disgusting, and yeah, your cards might eventually just be like, well, F you, and then they just stop working. They just keep giving you false information, which you do not want. So, sometimes though, witches can use special cloth, which is nothing like special. It doesn't give your cards more power or less power if you don't use it. It's just meant to, like, if you work outside, for example, you don't have a clean space, like there's just dirt. You lay out the cloth and your cards are safe and good to go. Plus, sometimes special cards, because I have different decks, they sometimes require a cloth just to show how a spread should be done. But sometimes, I wouldn't call it a scam, but somewhat like it, they just sell you a deck without the cloth, or more of like a book of explanations, so they'd be like, buy it separately, which is like twice as more than you could do it. But then you can always look up things online because people post that. And yeah, so just plain table, clean hands, clean working space, and there we go. And I usually light a candle before I start. There's sometimes I use 3 of these. I use white ones to be specific. It's just that the fire can help with more information, as well as call on the spirits that can help working with the cards. If you're too afraid of like any entity showing up and either helping or harming you, fire also works great for banishing it and more of like saving you. Also, it can notify you when there's something in the room. So the way fire can actually help you see if somebody has entered your room, and maybe you should start wrapping up your cards, is that when I do my cards, when I guess people should be doing, but everyone be like, oh, I can practice the way I want, there's no rules or whatever. They are, but just like, I guess your choice if you want to follow or not. Your windows and your doors, even to your closet, all of that should be closed. Now, I don't mean like locked, deadly closed, but everything should be closed, and you should not be facing a mirror. So if you have a mirror by your
You know, like you can just look up and see yourself. That should be covered with cloths or something. But if you have like a portable mirror that, you know, just there on your desk all the freaking time, just move it away. It doesn't have to be there. So to say, there should be no like things you can reflect in. That is just for like safety purposes. And then since everything is closed, there's no way there can be wind, so your candlelight should be pretty steady. But then when you see it like starting to do the little crazy dance, that means somebody might be here. And then sometimes you can have the objects roll, fall, you know, you didn't touch them, but they're all of a sudden on the floor or something. That could mean there's something in there, so you probably should cleanse around, stop doing what you do, and wrap up. If you know how to work with those kind of things, then, you know, it's just a good sign that someone is there helping you. So that just to your interpretation of how things work. But yes, I light a candle. I use a basic lighter. It doesn't matter. You can. Some people actually go really like religious on it. They use a lot of like, you know, they burn a sage, then they do a sage thing. They cleanse before starting the cards, which all of those things are helpful. And I guess you could do, but I don't do it because that doesn't matter. Also, a lot of people I see that they cleanse their decks before working with them or after working with them. It doesn't matter because basically you cleansing your deck, it just means that you're resetting it to a 0. It's like, you know, cleaning your browser history. It doesn't do anything. Like your cards cannot pick up the bad energy. All it can do is pick up your own energy, and their own energy will be there. So yeah, let's get to the cards. So I figured that storing my babies in a little bag would be much more helpful, much more portable. They usually rest on my altar, but yes, they're always in this bag. It's black because I don't like any light touching them. And no, I'm not a black witch, so don't worry about it, but yes. And I actually keep all my cards in there, so it's like kind of a thick bag. But yes. Also, just say when you get your new deck, usually people are confused about what to do with them and why it does not work, is because you have to introduce yourself first. So if you are not like, for example, this is my second deck and my sister ruined it for me. It was resting on my counter and then she just took my nail polish and painted all over. But this is called the Deviant Moon deck, and I'm in love with this. This is my second deck, and it's beautiful, but you know, people don't actually ask me to use it that often because they think it's scary and gory, because it kind of is. I mean, that's something, right? But I love this one, and this one is actually very straightforward. There's no way this little baby will sugarcoat things for you, which is good because I really feel like sometimes people need a slap in their face to wake up and start doing things. So if you feel like you want to ask about those cards, I have them in my menu, which I usually offer to people when they ask for reading. But you know, sometimes you only like you can work with these and only specific things like overview on the problem, which happens like when people are stuck and they cannot move out, and this deck definitely helps to solve many of the things. Now this one is pretty new. I only have it for about half a year or a year now. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, the bags still stay together besides the colored part. Yes, but still pretty good. Still be available in there. But my first deck ever, which is the basic, the regular deck, you can tell that it's already ruined. But this is the Rider's Tarot deck, and White Rider, he's the first guy who ever actually introduced the newer version of tarot cards to the world. I can go into the history a little bit later, but yes. So if you're only starting and willing to get yourself in it, this is the deck I recommend because this is the original. So there's like all the meanings are what they were originally, or a little bit revised to match the world that we live in today, because tarot cards are like way before, you know, started their route way before humanity was, you know, very advanced with stuff like that. But yes, and yeah, I have it for a long time, so the pack is ripped, and that's why I need the bag. But I don't feel like throwing this little thing out because this is, you know, sacred to me. And here are the actual cards. So yes, these are the cards I actually work with anytime I do reading. So some of you might recognize them. Very classic, very old-fashioned, work well, and I'm happy with the condition I keep them in. Like, look, none of the things are like bended, ripped away. All of them are cleaned, stored with a lot of respect. Yes. And here's a little booklet. Every card deck should have this. So in these booklets you can actually find all of the information about the cards, the meanings. Sometimes you have the history, sometimes you have about the author, you know, everything a little bit, everything's good. And I know this one even has the basic spreading you can do, but this is way not the basic. This is called the Celtic Cross. I don't use it because this is, you know, just to see your life a little bit like an open book, but I don't have the need to do this most of the time, so I don't. So how in general my stuff works is you get the layout, or you choose which one you would like, and for example, let's say you choose your future, past, and I don't know, present, so just the basic one. And I ask for your name. Sometimes if I don't feel like I can work with your name personally, that usually happens if I know somebody with your name, then I can, you know, while I'm shuffling the cards and thinking about you, I could be thinking about them as well, and that just throws away the whole idea and the whole concept. So at that time, I can ask you for your picture, and, you know, you have to make sure that it's actually you. And usually you see me take screenshots of the thing and people will be like, oh, why are you doing that? Don't worry, I'm not posting anywhere. It's just for me to remember because I have a hole in my mind. I don't remember things well. But, so I get your name, real name. I only need the first name, so yes. And then I take your picture if I need to. Then I think about the question that you are asking, and then I start shuffling the cards like this. They're actually much bigger than the actual original decks. Sometimes, you know, when you're learning, you do not do reverse cards. It's not when you already know how to, you do them. And I never actually seen how people shuffle to do the reverse cards, because if you don't, you know, turn them, they're just gonna be all the way the same. And yes, but the way I would do them is like this, and then for the last one, I flip it like that, and then just keep going. Sometimes I don't do reverse cards because, you know, just doesn't make me feel right. But the reading accuracy does not change based on which way you do. It's just personal preference, I'd say. But like I said, let's pretend that you chose your past, present, and future. So usually I have my cards shuffled and then I pull some of the cards up. Sometimes I do it 3 times if the person is with me. Sometimes I ask them to do it. You would just take it and then you just pull the cards to yourself, and then I, you know, do my thing with them. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter where you choose the cards from. Meaning, like, if you're gonna pull them from the bottom, it's okay. If you're gonna pull them from the middle, it's okay. If you're gonna pull them from the top, it's still okay. It's just like, if the card has to be there, it will be there. It doesn't matter from where you pull them out. But here's the thing. If you already chose from where you're gonna pull them, you cannot be switching around. So usually if I do the past, present, and future, this is how I do it. So the past, I'd be pulling them from the bottom, of course not looking, and I flip it. So the card always goes flipped. And then like for the present, I use the middle. And then for the future, I use the top. Now this makes no sense because I wasn't thinking about anyone, I was just shuffling randomly to show you guys. And yeah, so this one has legit no meaning, but excuse me, right away just start reading, oh, well, in the past everything was good, right now it's kind of confusing, and then, in the future, blah, blah, blah. So that how it usually works. Sometimes it takes longer to think because, one card can have a different meaning with the other card, and it just, a lot of confusions, a lot of mixes, but it's like, once you get a hang of it, you just start learning, and it's not that confusing anymore. I'm not gonna go in depths of everything because, well, you don't really need to know anything of it. So, yeah.